Hello everyone and welcome to my first ever podcast. Today I was meant to be working in one of my cars, which we'll discuss a bit further down the line, but the weather is rubbish. It's very windy, 30-mile-an-hour winds, and it's raining, and since I work outside I couldn't do it. So what we're going to talk about today is who am I, why you should be watching this, what is my channel about, what cars do I have, and what do I like doing. So let's roll the intro and I'll tell you in a minute. Alright, so who am I? My name is Nico. I was born in South America, in Uruguay, a small country that has borders with Argentina and Brazil. Only like 3 million people. I'm not going to bother you with that. I was born there in 1993. I moved to Spain with my parents and my family. We lived there for a good 12, 13 years. And from there we moved to the UK. In Spain, I lived in places like Tenerife, Gran Canaria, A Coruña, which is a city in the northwest of Spain, above Portugal. And after that, we moved to the UK. I lived in London for 4 or 5 years, and now I live in the Midlands. I'm not going to make this a video of me crying about how hard life has been and how hard it's been to be here in the UK and be here for 11 years or so. But I'm going to mention that I learned English here in the UK. So if you can't tell yet, I've got an accent. Sometimes I might not pronounce things as I should, but this happens to every foreigner here. So just so you know, don't kill me if I don't pronounce things correctly. Anyway, so as I said, I learned English here in the UK. I've been here for 11 years. And I basically work as a technician in high-end motorhomes. So let's move into the next topic. What is this channel about? My channel is mainly based on cars. I love working on cars, even though they are a pain in the ass, when bolts snap, when things don't go your way, when it takes longer than the Heinz manual says, for example. But I do love working on cars. I've been into cars since I was a kid. Back in my country, my dad used to be very into rallies. So that's what fueled, let's say, my passion for cars. And since then, as I said, every time that I could, I was into working on a car or looking into a car, so going racing, watching racing on TV or any local racetrack that we had. And this takes me to my first car. My first car was a 2006 Ford Focus 1.6 C-Tech, finished in silver, very common car, a car that I loved. I bought that car from my parents. I put a stupid exhaust, power flow, custom made. It sounded very loud and very obnoxious, mostly if you were sitting on the rear. To be honest, if you were doing a journey of like an hour or so, your head would explode. It was that annoying. I think I might have a clip, so if I have, I'll introduce it here so you can actually listen to it. So you can see what I was talking about. Nothing special, but I did love that car. To be honest, it took me many journeys. I went to London many times. I went to Bristol for Christmas. I drove everywhere that I could. But after lockdown, I decided that I wanted to buy something else. And at that point, I think 2020, 2018, somewhere in there, I started to develop a bit more of love, let's say, for Japanese cars. I always liked American muscle cars, and I did have a soft spot for Japanese, but I wasn't that into it, apart from a couple of cars that I thought they looked cool, even though they might not be as popular as you think. So I started looking for my next car. I looked on eBay, on AutoTrade, on Gumtree. I looked on many places, and this car popped up. This was a Subaru Impreza 2010. It was an EJ204, so it was NA. But for me, it just ticked all the boxes. It was Japanese, it was all-wheel drive, it was my first Subaru, so, and it was between, you know, my budget, let's say. It wasn't too expensive to finance, and it wasn't too expensive to insure or to road tax, at least at that time. Now it's a bit different with road tax and stuff like that, but well. So this car, I bought it in, I think it was 13th of June 2020. So right after lockdown sort of eased up a bit, we went with my dad and my younger sister up to Bradford, I think it was. I found it on a Subaru dealership. So I thought it was, you know, a good reason to trust, let's say, this place, where I bought it from. So we went there, I think it was a 2 hours and 50, almost 3 hour drive. So it was quite long. And well, at least, you know, in that, to go and see a car, I mean. So we went, I test drove the car, I really liked it. It was a burgundy color, so I'll put some photos on that. It was completely stock. They spent, I think it was like $1,000 on the suspension part, so it was almost fairly new. And that's quite funny, because what I was meant to be doing today, it was on that car, but I'll get to that a bit later. So I went to a dealership, test drove the car, as I said, give my one in part exchange. My one had the ABS lights on, and I did change the ABS sensor on the rear, on the driver's side, but I think what happened is that the wheel bearing needed replacing, and I just wanted another car. To be honest, if you ask me right now, I think I would like to buy that car. I have checked for road tax and MOT, and I think it's no longer on the road, unfortunately. It was a silly car, but it was my first car, and if you were into cars, many cars there, if you're into cars, you probably have a soft spot for your first car, even if it was a piece of shit. So unfortunately, I didn't have the money to keep both at that time, so I had to give one in order to have the other one. So we drove from Bradford all the way down to where we live in the Midlands, and silly me, there was a Texaco gas station just nearby, and I put a bit of fuel. No, actually no, that was it. I didn't put fuel in it because I think he did have like half a tank or something like that, or a bit less than half a tank, and I thought he was going to make it home. So off we went. I think it was around 10 miles from home. We hit reserve, and I didn't know how much I would have in reserve. So we started panicking a bit, and as well, we were on the motorway, so there wasn't any really places for you to stop safely, let's say. But we managed to get to the gas station, filled up, and thank God for that, because that would have been stupid on the first time driving home, get stranded because you didn't fill up. My second car, it was a car that I always wanted. And when I mean always, it's not like, oh my God, I was born and I already wanted that car. No, it was more that it started growing up on me. And it was a car that I saw on many YouTube, well, not many, but a few YouTube channels. And these guys from America called Gears and Gasoline, they did a road trip with a Subaru Forester. And I just thought, it looks very nice. It looks very spacious, so you have the power, but you have the space. It was more like a road trip car, but with a bit of fun, let's say. So I think this was around the end of 2021, around Christmas time. We were bored with my mom. We were watching TV, and I said to my mom, oh look, I found out that on eBay they do auctions. So basically, anyone can sell a car there. They put some photos, they put a description there, but you're not allowed to go and see the car until you win the car. So it's a bit of a gamble, I suppose, what an auction is anyway. And so I said to my mom, look at these cars, and we started looking and stuff like that. And I started bidding on certain cars. I bid in a car that was a Mercedes ML, so an SUV basically. And I was so close from winning that one. But in reality, you know, when you get to that point that you like the car, but you don't know if you like it that much to actually have it. That's what I was. So I was quite happy that someone else won it instead of me. Then after that, I saw many of the cars. I saw a Citroen AX, which I did like, but it went for a bit too much money, in my opinion. Then I won, what was the next one? I don't know, there were a few other cars I saw, but then there was this one that really caught my eye. A Toyota Corolla from 1999. It was a 1.3 in a weird color, really. I don't know how to describe it. It wasn't even purple or nothing like that, but it was a bit of a weird color. One owner from new, full service history, 60 something thousand miles. It was a very good nick, and I wanted that one. I thought it's not going to cost me a lot on fuel, it's not going to cost me a lot on road tax or insurance, so it's perfect for as a second car. But then I started bidding and the same thing, it just went for a lot of money and I didn't have it at that point. So we fast forward to, I think it was the end of January, beginning of February, and I saw this Subaru Forester. This Subaru Forester was in a dealership, and as well, it was going for, at the beginning, as every auction, for like 200 quid or something like that, but I had a week and where you can bid and stuff like that. As well with eBay, what you can do is, for example, put your maximum bid. So if you want to pay 2 grand, you put that as a maximum bid. But if the bid at the minute on the car, let's see if I can explain this properly. So if the car at the minute is 500 quid, the highest bid, what you can do is, what eBay will do for you is basically put a bit more and a bit more and a bit more. So if someone puts 550, the eBay would put like, let's say 570, and someone put 590, it will keep on increasing until it reaches your point, your maximum bid. So I saw this car, I checked it, it had a screw going through the driver's side mirror to hold it in place. I'll put a couple of pictures, I'm sure I got some of them. He had tape all around the sunroof, which was one of my concerns. I did want to know if it was leaking or not. So what I did was call the dealership that I was at and just ask a few questions. They said the car did run properly and the sunroof wasn't leaking, but it was taped, so it didn't work and blah, blah, blah. So overall it looked alright. So I thought, okay, I put a maximum bid of, I think it was 800 and something quid. I did think that it was going to be going for a bit more, but I thought maybe I can get a good deal there. And I think my girlfriend and I, we were somewhere for a weekend. So it started to keep on going up and increasing and increasing and increasing, and it reached to my limit and it just went above that. It kept on going to 1,000, 1,100 and stuff like that. And so I thought, well, I really wanted that car. I wanted one like that for years, but I suppose it's not going to be the car that I'm going to be buying. And fast forward, I think, to the last day, they sent me, eBay sends you basically a notification saying when it's the last 12 hours, I think is one, and when it's like half an hour left or something like that. And at that point, it was on 1,300 and let's say 70 highs. And I had a look at the car and I looked at it again and I looked at it again and I just loved the look of it and I really wanted it. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to put a bit more. So I bid again and someone went higher. And I thought, I'm gonna put a number that is not round. Because normally you will go for like 1,400, 1,450, 1,400, I don't know, 475 maybe, 80, 1,500. So I put 1,511 pounds. And I thought, let's see what happens. And it kept on going and going and going. And it reached to the point where it was like 10 seconds left. And I thought, I was so excited, watching it. And in the last 5 seconds or so, someone put another, like I think it was 30 quid on top of that. And my dream just crashed. I was quite annoyed. I wasn't upset, but I thought, I know that's how auctions work. You wait till the last second to put your bid so no one wins against you. So let's say you win instead of someone else, I should say. So I was, as I said, quite annoyed about it, and I tried to forget. And I think it was 2 days after the auction finished, I got an email from the auctioneer, if you want to call it, and saying that the person who won the car didn't have the money, so I was the second, so if I won I could go and get it. Now, I thought this was a scam, so I called the dealership and said, look, I just received an email saying that the person who won the car says that doesn't want it anymore or doesn't have the money or whatever. And he says, yeah, actually he called us and said, unfortunately he, for some reason, doesn't have the money. So because I knew you were interested on it, I know you called us a few times, I thought you might want it. So I thought, yeah, definitely, I do want it, but this was Tuesday, I can't be there until Saturday. And he was like, yeah, don't worry, it's fine, you come on Saturday whichever time, and you can have the car, you pay and take the car away. So I started looking for insurance. I was so excited. I didn't tell anyone until I think it was Saturday. I think I told my parents probably at the end of the week, because I just didn't believe it. For me, it was like a dream come true. So on Saturday morning, my girlfriend, her little one, and I went to this dealership, which was 2 hours away, South Wales. It was raining, windy, it was torrential, it was horrible drive to there. We got there, saw the car, and if I wasn't in love already, I just fell in love with it. So I went in, started up, and I don't know, I don't know if this ever happened to you, if you ever drive a Subaru for the first time, you see the bonnet scoop and it just looks massive, it looks huge at the beginning. I should mention the Subaru is a 2-liter turbo, is an EJ205, so it's the ones that you find on the WRX basically. So therefore that's why I had the scoop at the front, because it has the intercooler. The funny thing is that when I was told that I could have the car, I did insure the car. I think it was like 3 days before even going there. I don't know why. I just did it out of, I don't know. It was quite sporadic. I just went and did it, even though I haven't even paid for the car yet. So as I said, we got to a dealership, picked up the car. We stopped to eat something, and one of the brake lights was off. He had no reversing lights, I think. One of the indicators didn't work. I don't know. He had many lights that they just didn't do what they were supposed to do. Anyway, so we head back, as I said, torrential still. And then my girlfriend, she was driving at the time a Honda CR-V 2.2 diesel. And just in case it wasn't enough, we had the phones talking to each other just in case anything happened. And she said, oh, my car just went into limp mode. And so we had to stop in one of these service areas, try to reset the car, and it wasn't resetting. So I disconnect the battery, put it back on, all this while it was pouring down. And I don't even know where we were at that point. So we managed to get it back. We got here home, and I just couldn't believe it. I was just so excited about that car, that it was such a long journey. And of course, the day after, I took it to work to, show it off and whatever. And I think at that point, it had only 2 days left of MOT. So I took it to work, all great, show it to everyone, blah, blah. And on the way back, I hit a pothole on the way back in this sort of like downhill, and it snapped one of the drop links. So yeah, that was brilliant. That was very annoying, because I wanted to just drive the car, so I had to park the car at home, go next day and buy some drop links. And then, funny enough, I started looking at the lights. So I just bought basically all the lights at the back. I bought number plates, I bought brake lights, I bought fog lights, reverse indicators, just to make sure everything did work. And funny enough, that car had a tow bar. So I'm assuming the previous owners used to tow with them. And they did do what you do normally when you go a caravan, that is bypass the fog light on the car. So basically just go to the 13-pin plug to the caravan. So if you put your fog light on, it would be just on the caravan and not on the car as well, because otherwise it will reflect on the caravan and it could, I don't know, I suppose it could be annoying on your rear view mirror if you can see a red light just flashing quite bright on the caravan panel, I suppose, a body. So I had to fix that as well, and then be able to pass its first MOT. And it didn't finish there. After, I think, 2 days of passing the MOT, the half of the lights on the dash, the bulbs behind the dash, just went. So if I wasn't doing 60 or more, I couldn't see what speed I was doing, which was quite handy because it was winter, so I couldn't see shit. So that's another thing that I had to do. And I'm gonna tag up here the playlist of that car, but I think there are 12, 13 videos. So yes, I've done many things on that car. I've done suspension arms, I've done drop links, I've done anti-roll bar bushes, I've done brakes, I've done springs, I've done top mount, I've done the rear shocks, the rear, well, I've done all the wheel bearings in the car, I've done the rear bushes, the lateral control arm bushes. I'm about to do the trailing arm bushes as well. I think the only bush that I haven't changed in the car is or bushes I should say, are the 2 bushes for the rear diff. Apart from that, everything else is basically brand new underneath. So yeah, I'll link all those videos there so you can watch them if you would like. And this takes me to my third car. So my third car is a Suzuki Jimny 1.3 2003 twin cam. And I bought that car for just, I think, to be honest, the sake of buying it. I like them. I think they are quite quirky. You don't see many of them on the road. So I started my search for them. And at this point, I started looking at Facebook Marketplace, which is okay. It's an okay place to buy things. It's way harder to sell things. It's horrendous, to be honest. To try to sell things there, you get people that they message you and then disappear, and then they message you a week later asking you if you still have it and stuff like that. So to buy is a bit better than to sell. But still, at the beginning with the Jimnys, at that point, I think I bought it last year for my 30th birthday, so let's call it a midlife crisis car. The most important thing with these sort of cars is the rust. They are built with very thin metal, so it rusts quite easily. So the first thing to buy this car was checking every single one on photos and sending messages and stuff like that, if they've been already welded, if you had any work done and things like this. So I found a few of them. There was one, I think it was 2.5 hours away, and they wanted $2.5 grand for it. And it was nice. It was a 2-tone, it was the Rhino edition, so it has a couple of more things. And I did like it. I did like the fact that it was red and silver, but at the same time, it did say they had some rust and stuff like that, and I did ask the dealership, and they were, the answer was quite vague, so they didn't really tell you. They asked them to send me some photos, and they just sent me some photos on the underneath of the cars. If you go under the car and just take a photo, not aiming up or aiming on the wheel arches or the places where they do rust. So I tried to lowball it. I tried to offer quite a bit less money, to be honest, and they said no, they didn't want it. And I said, well, I'm not going to do a journey of 2.5 hours to then find out there has a hole in one of the wheel arches or things like that. So I just got rid of that one. Didn't do anything else about that. I found a few others. I did message them. Some of them they did have rust. Some of them they didn't reply, or they replied 3-4 days later, and then you reply to them and not again 2 more days later they reply. So I thought, well, they're taking the piss. I'm not going to be waiting around seeing what they want to say, or if they want to sell it, if you got something to sell. I know if you got something to sell, yes, you can, you have your work, you have your life and stuff like that, but taking 3, 4, 5 days on replying to someone is not very ideal, and you don't really know if you can trust that person when you're going to go and buy it. Anyway, so I found another one in this champagne color, and I wasn't really into it at the beginning. I showed my girlfriend, she was like, oh, I love the color, blah, blah. And I was like, don't know. But I started talking to the guy, and he posted, I think a day after, photos of the body being lifted from the chassis and everything being welded and stuff like that. It had a couple of marks on the body, but nothing major. So I thought, all right, I want it. It didn't want much money, and I think it was only 50 minutes away from where I live, so it was brilliant. So I messaged him and said, look, I'm very interested. I could go tomorrow, and if I like it, I'll take it. And he goes, yeah, okay, but I got someone coming in the morning, so you can come at like, let's say 12, and we leave it like that. So on Saturday morning, message him, no reply, no nothing. And I think by that time, I thought, well, I just keep on looking, see if I find something else. And I found this one that I've got now. And then he messaged me, I think it was Sunday morning, saying, oh, sorry, I've sold it to someone else. And funny enough, he sold it to someone who 2 days later put it on Marketplace again for a good grand over what this person was advertising before. So yeah, I thought, well, whatever, I'm not gonna pay that money when I knew the other guy sold it to you for a grand less. So I messaged this guy that I think he's been, about this point, it's been 4 hours since he advertised the vehicle. Text him, he replied quite straight away, told me what the car had some welding done, and not by him, but the previous owner. Just passed the MOT, well, past the MOT. We'll get to that as well. So I said, okay, so I'll come and see it. On the same day that I was going to go and see the car, he sent me messages and said, oh, by the way, it doesn't have rear seats. And I thought, well, it's not a big deal, but I thought you could have fucking told me before, well, Anyway, so I went to this place, found the car in Barnsley, I think it was. It was a good as well, like 2 hours north or somewhere in there. Got there, and when you get somewhere, and it could be a phone, it could be a house, it could be, I don't know, a bike, it could be I don't know, a TV, whatever. When you get to one place and you see what you're gonna probably purchase, and you just like it, and you just don't care the state of it, you don't care the color, you don't care anything at that point. You just want to have it and take it and go back home with it. So that was more or less what happened to me. I got there, saw the car. I didn't even drive at this point yet, and I said to my girlfriend, I want it. I said, I want it. I really want it. This is for me. So we went and drove it, and like everything, was shaking a bit and stuff like that. Kind of like what chimneys are anyway. And yeah, so we paid, we took it, and that was a 2-hour journey on the M1. The M1 is a motorway, if you know, here from the UK, that has, I think it's 3 or 4 lanes. I think it's 4, well, depending where. I think it's 3 or 4. And it was the first time driving this car. And funny enough, the only thing that I did when I saw the car was I had my torch with me. I just checked all the wheel arches, check inside the car, check that I started, no lights and whatever, and he drove. And I didn't even check under the bonnet. At this point, I didn't even know how to open the bonnet on one of those. Funny enough, we stopped in Lidl, I think it was, to have something to eat. And then I was in the parking just Googling how to open the bonnet because I didn't know. So that's how much I wanted the car. I didn't even check underneath. I didn't even check if the oil level was good or if I had like brake fluid, let's say. So I just took it and that was it. And then, as I said, we come back home on the M1, on the motorway, and I was doing 60 mile an hour, I think it was. And there was this Volkswagen Transporter, and it was doing like 55. So I thought, oh, I'll overtake him. So it took me ages to get from like 60 to 70. And as soon as I was going like 68 mile an hour, he started to put his foot down. I was like this, like shaking all around, trying to overtake the car. And he just left me behind. And I thought it was hilarious because I had to get over to the outside lane. And at this point, I just called my girlfriend and I said, which she was like driving a bit further in front of me. And I said, look, you're going to have to slow down. You're going to have to slow down because I don't think I can do more than 60 at the minute as the car stands, because otherwise everything else shakes. So that was a quite eventful, long journey home. But since then, I've done a few things on the car. I went to Tamworth to get rear seats from Marketplace again. And then I found out that when they took the rear seats, and I'll put a photo here, the rear seats basically have from the wheel arches, let's say, two studs coming this way. So your back seat basically hooks on that and it doesn't tilt. So it's level, let's say, because you got a bracket in the middle where the two seats hook to the body of the vehicle. And then these two studs come on the side of the seat. So basically, it's not linear like this. But anyway, so I did that. I haven't done much, to be honest, too. I have done that, and I've done a full engine service besides the spark plugs, because I checked them on the way all right. But besides that, I've done coolant, I've done engine oil, gearbox oil, transfer case oil, rear diff oil as well. I've done everything. I'll link the video up here so you can watch that as well. And I'll link as well the video of everything wrong up to now with my cars. Before we wrap this up, the video that I was meant to be doing today was on the Subaru Impreza. And you remember that I said that they spent around $1,000 3 years ago, almost, well, 4 years ago almost now, on suspension parts. Well, this happened. The spring broke at the same time as the alternator basically gave up on the Forester. So at the same time, they just both decided to fuck with me, break something, and then I was in limbo because I didn't have a car to use really, because my girlfriend is using the Jimny. So yeah, that was quite nice, and that's what I was meant to be doing today. I was meant to be doing the spring, but unfortunately, because as I said, the weather, I'm not doing it. So I'm doing this first podcast. I'm hoping this is something that I can do maybe once a month. I like to bring people every now and then so they can tell stories, a couple of friends, they can tell about their cars, or maybe they could talk about their careers, which I have a few friends that they have worked on racing teams and stuff like that. So I think that would be quite interesting. But as I said, I think it would be more like once a week, not once a week, sorry, once a month, if not maybe longer. It will depend who can come and what time and that kind of stuff. I'm not gonna bore you with that. But yeah, so just to sort of do a bit of conclusion before I speak about the last car. My channel is based on cars, but we do a lot of traveling when we can. And every time that I travel, I bring the camera or the phone with me, and I do a vlog type video of the place that we are, with a bit of interesting points and the things that we've done, and maybe how to get cheap transport, or how we look at flights or things like that. So if you're interested on that, you can watch only those videos, or you can watch the cars if you're into cars as well. This year, the idea would be to go to a lot of meetups, go to caravans, racing, drifting, and things like that. So if you like that kind of stuff, just follow me and you'll be notified when we go somewhere. I'll probably make a short the days before, so you know what is going on and what's going to happen and where we're going to go. The last car that I want to talk about is not actually mine. It's owned by my parents, so that's why I didn't include this car when I was talking about the 3 cars that I own. But basically, this car, it has a very, very, very special place in my heart. This car is a Golf Mark II, and it was bought in 2001 in Spain when we were living in Spain, and we brought it here to the UK. It hasn't been on the road for 12 years almost. This year I think it's going to be. So the idea with that car is get on the road this year and do a very special trip with it. That car was imported from Germany to Spain, and it has only 2 owners. It has 120,000 miles, somewhere in there I think it is, 182,000 kilometers. And I would like to do something very special. I'm not going to reveal it yet because I don't know if it's going to happen. It depends how much the car fights us. But if you have watched the first video, if not, I'll link it up here. It might be a bit awkward, a bit cringy, because it was one of my first videos, or when I actually decided that I wanted to start doing YouTube videos. So bear with me, the videos are going to get better. As well, I got, as you can see here, a new mic. I got a new camera, which is the one that you're watching through this. It might take me a bit of time to get used to it, but all of this is going to get the quality of the videos a lot better, and it's going to help me understand how to record the video better and make it more watchable, if you like. I will talk about that golf a bit more when I actually go and start working on it again, which hopefully will be next month, if not April, I think the latest. And I think here's where I'm gonna stop the podcast. If you made it till this point, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing if you do, and I shall see you very shortly. Bye.